everybody. I am Dr. Cindy, and I am your host of the Positively Altered podcast. I am a chiropractic internist and nutritionist, and most recently, a first-time author of the book called Positively Altered, Finding Happiness at the Bottom of a Chemo Bag, which is a memoir of my walk through Hodgkin's lymphoma. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. Today, however, I am super nervous because we are going to talk about a subject that actually challenges me in a way I never thought I'd be challenged. Artificial intelligence. Some of you are probably nervous too, and some of you are probably super excited. These two words scared me when I first heard about it because I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to replace human beings. And especially in the medical field, nobody's going to need me anymore. You're going to stick your arm into a bot and get your vitals read, and it's going to spit out a bunch of information that I could be spitting out after 25 years of experience, and it's totally going to replace me. What I've since learned is it's not really meant to replace me, but maybe it's going to add value to all of the things that I currently do, and maybe even some of the things that you do. So today's guests, which I'm going to introduce you to in a minute, are going to talk all things artificial intelligence with a caveat. So we're going to take a quick break. Go ahead and figure out how to work your technology. And if you have questions, come back. We're going to talk all things AI after my very important sponsors give you a little bit of information. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment.
Hello, my name is Heather Lord, and I am the COO of Professional Health Products. Cutting corners is an all too common practice in the dietary supplement industry. When my father founded Professional Health Products, he sourced the cleanest, most biologically active ingredients from around the globe. Today, that commitment remains, which is why the finest healthcare practitioners, like Dr. Cindy, have trusted us for more than 40 years. We oversee the entire process in our manufacturing facility, from sourcing and formulation to manufacturing and labeling. Today, we offer over 300 unique products that can be tailored to the nutritional and homeopathic needs of each individual. Most recently, we launched a proprietary genetic test, allowing our practitioners to get even more dialed in to their patients' health. To learn more about Professional Health Products, please talk to your practitioner or visit our website at phpltd.com.
Today, your life is going to be altered. I'm Dr. Cindy.
Welcome to Infinity. We have worked hard to create an electronic claims website that is simple and user-friendly. This is the public side. You can log into your personal web portal here. This is your dashboard. You can personalize it to your liking here. Our main focus has been to allow you to submit and edit claims as easy as possible. You will find our claims editor and claims processing is simple to use and straightforward. Our quick action bar is where you can find your most important information. Most of these icons will take you directly to the claims the number represents. You can easily view if you have any messages in your inbox of any unread alerts by looking for these blue numbers. To view the rest of our training videos to get the most of your Infinity experience, click this icon. We hope you find this web portal simple and easy to use. Thanks for letting us serve you.
I'm Dr. Cindy. Who wouldn't want to join me for the Positively Altered podcast? Welcome back. I'm so glad that the words artificial intelligence didn't scare you all away because it's a super relevant, important topic that, by the way, is not going away, right? Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to introduce you to two great friends, actually, who are knee-deep in artificial intelligence and data, which is another word that actually scares me, right? Collecting data, and yet there's super importance and relevance to that word. So I want to introduce you today to my dear friends, Dr. Jay Greenstein, who is the owner of a company by the name of Kaizenovate, and he is creating technology that I don't even think exists on the planet in the way that he's doing it. We're going to let him chat about that today. And my dear friend, Brad Cost, who owns Infinity, which is a national claims clearinghouse. I had to look to make sure I get those words right? But he's also a connoisseur of all amazing things out there. And really focused on data-driven outcomes as well. So these two gentlemen together are just doing things in the technology space that's unheard of, and I'm super excited to share their story. So welcome, gentlemen. I'm glad you're here.
Hey, Cindy, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Cindy.
You are
Excited to be here.
so welcome. All right, so let's just jump in. I thought that artificial intelligence was going to replace me. That's what I thought, right? And I was thinking it's replacing everybody because let's face it, in the grocery store, you don't need anybody to check you out anymore, right? There's a computer that does that. And quite frankly, when I call lots of places, I don't even get to talk to a human being, and that's been going on for a long time too. So as we move through this aspect of artificial intelligence, I'm like, I'm going to be out of a career. And I don't know that that's true. So here's what I'd love. Give me some good info as to why I need to embrace AI and what it's doing, especially in the medical space.
Brad, would you like to go first?
Sure. Well, Cindy, I mean, for me, and Jay really is the AI expert. I'm sort of the data expert and spreading data, using data, the utilization of data. But the things that I've learned in the process is the one thing that I hear every doctor in every specialty tell me is, Brad, there are just not enough hours in the day. And and at some point you get to the point that then you talk about not being able to service your patients well, patient safety, those kind of issues. And in my view, and education, in my view, that's where artificial intelligence is really going to come in and have a big hand is helping manage your time better, managing your patients better, servicing them better, and doing the mundane business things that you don't want to do, taking those off of your plate. So, I mean, Jay, don't you agree with me on that? I mean, that's really right now where the impact is coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree, Brad. And let's just take a step back and just define AI. Like, there's all kinds of different AI. We use AI every day when we're using Google Maps or we're using spell check. That is also AI. I think what's come into the fold over the last 18 to 24 months is generative AI, where you've got these large language models, which is aggregating data and finding patterns, recognizing those patterns, and then spitting out content at light speed. That's really what's happening. So looking at lab results and being able to aggregate all this data all at once from, let's say, 100, 1,000, a million patients, and then generate some sort of a pattern or some sort of a conclusion around what all this data means to assist the healthcare provider in making decisions. I think, and I don't think I've seen it happen. We're seeing it happen is that AI is not replacing healthcare providers. AI is augmenting what we do, and the successful healthcare providers are the ones that don't shy away from it. They're the ones that are actually embracing the technology, using the technology, testing the technology, and then making it a part of their workflow and process so they can leverage this tool to create a better experience and outcomes for their patients.
I love this, but I'm listening to you and I'm like, oh, it sounds so painful, Jay, right? Like, because now I've got to leverage this. So, how do I get over as a practitioner to the fear of going from a non AI model, right, into this AI world, feeling confident to overcome those obstacles of the unknown?
I've known you for a very long time, and one of the things that you are, in addition to being brilliant, is you're also innovative. And I think for you, just stepping into the sandbox and playing is all you have to do. You just have to try it, test it, play with it. And then as you do that, you're going to want to iterate the things that you're doing. So I think about you and all the brilliance that's going on up here, you being able to use these tools to take all of this data, and Brad is the world's best expert on data, and he can share his thoughts on this as well, but using all this data to help you draw conclusions and help your patients more efficiently, like Brad was talking about, only helps make your life easier and your patients' lives better.
Yeah, Cindy, I, I say in my class, do you have one of these?
I do.
Well, then you can use artificial intelligence. I mean, this is the most invasive device that we have in our possession today. This aggregates and uses AI to look for patterns. It's looking for how you call, when you call, and that's how all of a sudden we start getting things popping up on our phone. And it is using AI for to look, like Jay said, in lightning speed to give those information about things that you're interested in. And is somebody watching over us? Nah, I don't know, but I would think that we will get watched over all the time when it comes to data collection. It happens in the way we bank. It happens in all aspects of our lifestyle. And I think a thing that Jay said that is very important is it is happening. It is not going to go away. And you have tons of valuable information up here, Cindy, that needs to be put out in that web sphere of so other people can access it.
Yeah, so share with like the listeners, right, who are not physicians, who are the patient, that end user, the data that you've already been collecting. Like, are there some cool things that you've discovered in ways that you didn't expect that are really helping the patient? What are you seeing?
Some of the things that we've done in our practice when we think about patient care delivery is all about behavior change. So how do I train my team to communicate with patients in ways that are meaningful for the patients? Because we can walk into a room and we believe that we know what's best for them clinically, but if we're not communicating appropriately, then they might miss the message and therefore not have the best or most advantageous outcome. So one of the ways that we use AI from a generative perspective is that we use it to train our team to communicate more effectively. So how do we use um, behavior change models like BJ Fogg's Tiny Habits or James Clear Atomic Habits, which everybody knows about that book? How do we teach our team to use AI to train our people to communicate more effectively? And we've done that. Like we do that on a regular basis. So that's just like one tool. Another way is again using the data from labs or using diagnostic data and having AI programs, AI tools identify exactly what are the potential probabilities of disease or disease states that actually need to be addressed. There are now listening tools out there and we've tested them, where you turn on the listening tool in a patient-physician interaction, and while the patient is listening, when the provider is listening to the patient go through their history, the AI listening tool is actually making diagnostic and treatment recommendations. Like maybe they're hypothyroid, maybe they need an MRI, maybe they should have a test for sleep apnea. It's listening and making these recommendations that the provider may miss because they're so in tune and listening to the patient about their chief complaint. So there's these ancillary things that could come up that need to be tested for that right now the provider may miss. I truly believe, one last thing, Cindy, I just want to share this. I truly believe that one of the worst experiences that patients have and providers have as well is the provider sitting at their computer typing in exactly what the patient is saying. And imagine a world where you and I can sit in front of our beloved patient, talk to them, have a conversation, and then have a tool that's listening, documenting the clinical encounter, and also providing clinical decision support advice for us and the patient that is happening at light speed. So it's quick, it's efficient, and also can improve the interaction as well as the diagnostic and treatment capabilities. That's happening now.
Oh my gosh, I love this. So I have this joke in my office that when you come in and you put 10 doctors in a room, you get 11 opinions, because there are some days I have two. What I love about that is now I could have like 500,000 opinions, right? So like if there was data that was listening to that interaction and could say, you know what, Dr. Cindy, indirectly, right? You didn't consider these three diagnoses while you were thinking about those four. Let me now give you seven to consider based on that data, right? That's going to make me a better clinician and diagnostician for the patient, because I only have 25 years of experience times however many days a week times however many patients. But if you can take 1,000 doctors and collect that data, right? Now I can see,
For a million.
or a million,
Yeah,
where I'm no longer scared. I'm actually encouraged, because now I actually have a support team. They're pretty quiet,
that's
which
right.
is nice, right? Like I got the silent support team, but what a cool tool.
This is exactly what Brad is doing for the chiropractic profession. And Brad, you should kind of share that, like how you're building that AI
Yeah,
model.
so I want to jump back to a little bit, Cindy, because the AI is really good at distilling key phrases, keywords, kind of things that like you said, you may be thinking about these three, but it heard 20 things from the patient or your an interaction to it. And because your brain cannot think that fast, it goes out and puts all of those things together and using what we call large language models, words and key phrases that it understands and sentences that it understands, it can actually look at much broader scopes of things of how patients present. And listen, if we can go out and quickly look at 100 million patients that presented in the last 30 days with the exact same references, and here were the outcomes, or you can go and look back historically at the same patients that had been derived historically, and you could say, well, five of them had great outcomes, two of them passed away. You can start looking at the treatment processes just from a historical basis, and as the models are built, even more current presence, you become a much better diagnostician just by the references and the information that's out there. And it's not guessing at that point in time. It's presenting information of how it happened, how it's happening now, and what you could learn and how you could treat that patient.
So, how important am I still? And I don't mean me personally, but the physician or anybody else in this model. Because again, if the intelligence is so great and can almost be more broad than what I'm capable of in my brain, how does that affect then the doctor patient relationship where we still have a human involved in this experience?
Well, if you actually look at studies where they're blinded studies and patients are asked to, here's AI responding and here's a human responding, it seems like people are saying in blinded studies that the AI is more empathetic than humans. That's the
Wow.
reality from it. And the thing is, we don't have a replacement for the human being. The stick the box in the hand, a hand in the box kind of thing. There may be things in the future that is true. I said in a conference a couple of years ago with 3M and their system called Watson. And this was at a university level where they were just throwing out crazy ideas of how can you change healthcare, because it's all focused around healthcare. And one of the craziest concepts that I came across is we do away with pharmacies. And everybody has a pill printer at home, and you call your doctor, you get him online during the middle of the night and say, hey, listen, I've got this and this and this. He says, well, let me look at this and look at this, and here's what I think you have. But I think you need an antibiotic. So I'm going to send a secure code over to your pill printer in your kitchen, and it's going to print out a pill, an antibiotic that's going to treat you. That seems crazy to me. And even today, it still seems like, well, hey, how do you get enough chemicals in a pill printer that you can print all the pharmaceuticals? But you know what? If you start thinking about it from just a sheer theoretical sense, is you could maybe do a lot better control of the chemicals that get put out. You could do a lot better control of people that shouldn't have pills, certain pills. I mean, there are some theoretical things that artificial intelligence and that communications that technology brings that may revolutionize and change healthcare in some of the ways that the three of us believe very strongly in. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It does, and maybe we still need the humans to punch the holes in that, right? So to your point, where is the good that comes from this, and where are the challenges that may not be so good, so that we make sure we overcome those?
The other side of it that Jay was referring to earlier is there's some other sides of AI that help us just in the analytical side of understanding what's going on. You've heard me talk. I really believe that chiropractic gets a bad rap in things because there's not just a ton of scientific evidence out there, academic level evidence. And so Jay and I started out with a project I started a couple of years ago where we took all the claim information from every chiro. Really, we did it outside of chiro also, but we focused on chiropractic to say, how can we disperse this analyzed information to states that really don't have much access to analytical data? And so through Jay and I's conversation, we built this amazing state and national dashboards that I gave to every executive director of every chiropractic association in America. And it really is quick views of what is going on with reimbursements, what kind of errors are happening on the business side. So it doesn't always have to be the fancy how's a patient going to be treated kind of thing. It can help support best guidelines, patient safety guidelines, just from looking at hundreds and hundreds of millions of encounters and claim transactions and EMR records to say, here's the best case scenario for what's going on.
So I'm a patient that gets frustrated because my insurance won't improve something, my insurance doesn't pay for something, um, it gets tied up for months and months to get answers. This would help me as a patient then, right?
It sure could. It absolutely could. And it also hopefully my goal is it'll show the efficacy of chiropractic and how they should be treated just like any other healthcare provider that's out there. If you can bring about efficient payment to a patient, efficient treatment, and you've got just as good or not better outcomes, why would you not want to be included in that healthcare life cycle, I call it, of a patient? You should be one of all of the providers that is involved, and the patient should be in the center of that, not one of the professionals, but the patient should be the center. And what is the best outcomes for that patient? That's what I'm building and trying to do today.
I love it. So if I'm hearing you correctly, artificial intelligence is going to really support that patient being in the center of
We
everything in a better way.
we've built a tool that it works exactly that way, and all we built AI to look at what are the most significant healthcare problems of that patient, mining through claims data, through EMR records and patient interactions. We now have models where we can put that patient in the middle, and every healthcare provider gets exactly the same information about every one of them, how they're treating. So you, as their chiro, that patient's chiro, will also get information that the primary care is treating, the cardiologist is treating. You'll have a record of all the medications that patient has had prescribed to them. So everybody is on the same playing field about treating that patient and treat them for the best outcomes possible.
Yeah, I love this. I even had a patient this morning that, we spent an hour trying to get some medical records from different places so that I can put the pieces of the puzzle together, and just A, what a nightmare it is to get. And then B, I've got to sit down and spend time, right, sifting through everything, and all the reports look different and figuring out if it's thorough. And I just keep, as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, Jay, why was I so scared of AI? Like this, like I need this,
Yeah,
right? You know, I
yeah.
think back, I don't remember how many years it was ago. We were sitting in a coffee shop, right, in Washington, D.C. And I really did say to you, I'm like, you know what? I want to create a kiosk. And you go to the mall, and just as I opened with, you stick your arm in and you get your vitals and your blood drawn, and out spits out, right, a bunch of nutrients that you need. Because I see that somehow being really important in the future. And I had no idea what I was talking about, right? I think I was actually talking about AI and too scared to even. I mean, AI in my world is autoimmune. We use the initials differently, right? So, was really scared. And I think it's been interesting to watch you grow as not only a doctor in this space, but an innovator of the technology along with Brad, from probably even before the moment you and I sat in that coffee shop to what you're doing now. So tell me about Embodi. Like what has this turned into? Where are you at with your technology?
I would love to talk about that, but really quickly, I just want to share a couple of really important points. One is all the data that's being aggregated, and the use of AI and putting the patient at the center actually helps not just the provider make better healthcare information, health decisions, but most importantly, the patient. Imagine a world in which the patient has access to this data, their own data, and can use the best in evidence and their personal data to help them make decisions. I think that's a really important
It
point.
is.
The other important point that I want to get to is, you asked, are providers going to be replaced? Am I going to be replaced with AI? And I just want to be like brutally honest here. And I think the answer is possibly. And I think we need to face that fact. If you're a radiologist and you think that you over time will outperform a computer looking at lesions in an X-ray or an MRI or a CT that is all based on computer technology, you're high. Like you're just not going to be able to do it. And we've already and there's already studies. There's been many studies that have demonstrated that humans are not as good as picking up these lesions as the AI systems are. So like I think we just have to be honest with ourselves and say in certain disciplines in healthcare and in our lives, AI may outperform humans, and we've got to be okay with that. And again, those that have the education and have used the tools can find avenues in which it can be used like to augment our work in our lives. So I wanted to share that. As it relates to Embodi, this has been a life project that started with how do we improve outcomes for patients, and having Brad as a mentor and having you as a close friend, and just talking about what are things that we need to do in order to change behavior so that patients get the best outcomes is really where we've landed. And so we built a patient-facing app and a provider-facing portal to use behavior change technology and gamification and AI to help patients get better outcomes, and also to reward providers for providing those better outcomes and adding more value to the patient journey. So in short, like that's what we've done. We've got an app that a patient can use to get all of their home exercises, which is then utilizing AI to help customize the patient's exercise program based on how patients are reporting how they feel after they do each exercise. So if they feel great after an exercise, then they get a more functional version of the next exercise. If they feel worse, then we regress them and give them an easier version. All this is done through AI. The provider has insight into this. They can see what's happening on the provider portal, but the technology is happening very, very quickly to ensure that patients get what they need when they need it. They can also do things like schedule appointments and reschedule, and also HIPAA compliant messaging with the provider. They can communicate with the provider on a regular basis. And as all this work is being done for the patient to help them get the best outcome, as the provider is watching them remotely, essentially watching them, they're monitoring them remotely, the time they spent, they can get paid for. And so we are helping patients improve outcomes by improving their behaviors, and also helping ensure that providers are getting paid for the value they're delivering. So that is Embodied.
You know what? It's so cool. I thought of three big words for me, in this space of medicine as you're talking, and the first one is adherence, right? We need to adhere to what it is that's important to get to that goal. I also think about accountability, which I know I have trouble with sometimes, right? Like when I'm not accountable for certain things, I'm less successful. I know patients, when they're not accountable, are less successful typically. And then the third thing I think about is really the reward. What is the reward? And I don't mean because you got the free water bottle at the end of the journey necessarily, but the reward of hitting that goal, of maintaining that outcome. And whether it's, better health or anything else, that reward is really important, right? So that we know we've achieved something. And when
Absolutely.
there's a tool out there that then can help us, especially when we're feeling like it isn't working, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm unsure, I'm scared. I see the value of this being enormous in those three, again, huge words that I think are major, in our healthcare experience and journey.
I think we know from the data that like the average home exercise adherence nationally has been 12%. 12% of
Wow.
patients do what they're supposed to do at home. And so if we can tie their why back to their quote unquote personal workflow and make it easy for them and also rewarding for them, we can change the game. And our data is already showing that we're we're 3xing home exercise adherence at this point. We're at about 36%. And so, yeah, that was our start. And
Just from an
we're
app,
going forward.
just from an app.
Just from the first version of this particular platform. Yeah.
And what's the goal? What do you hope to get to? I mean, everybody's going to say 100%, right? But let's really, where do you think, where can this go to when done properly and utilized properly? I mean, are we looking at 80%?
I think when it comes to shifting healthcare costs over time for the system, and also really making a dramatic improvement in not just healthcare outcomes for the individual patient, but ensuring that there's not this increase in downstream costs because patients don't do what they're supposed to do, then they go for more advanced, more invasive procedures. I think if we can get to about 45 to 50%, we're going to see a dramatic shift in musculoskeletal costs and a dramatic shift in outcomes. But I would also defer to Brad on this. I mean, he's got millions of data points, and he knows as well as anybody, like, what does that shift look like?
Well, Jay, I agree with everything that you said, but I also believe that the number is probably a little bit lower. I think you instantly start shifting cost, especially when you start looking not only just in chiropractic, but you start looking at hospitalization, walk in clinics, those kind of things. Anytime that you can shift away from some of those and patient outcomes and using, I was going to bring up virtual assistants. I think virtual assistants, some of the spin-offs that are not truly AI, but they may be connected to AI. Where you got virtual assistants now, we've all been exposed to uh, Alexa, kind of devices. Those are just for, and I was blessed to meet the guy that developed that. And I asked him, I said, what was the genesis? Why did you want to build this, just to listen in? Or he said, no. He said the only goal that the company had was to eliminate the keyboard and the mouse, because they felt like speech synthesis would be such a big part of AI and the future of programming, that sitting there and crunching, you can only type so fast, being able to speak at that kind of volume. And now look at it, it's in our cars. I mean, it's in our homes. It's So I believe this virtual assistant side of this, Cindy, may transport us to a point for you guys as a healthcare provider, where that virtual assistant is taking over some of the tasks. But the good thing is you're going to see more patients. You're going to be more efficient with their outcomes. You're going to educate them through these personal assistants. Imagine somebody becoming a senior elderly person's roommate, basically, that lived by themselves, that said, hey, Betty, did you take your pill this morning? It was a little brown oval when it had a big M marked on it. You need to take that 3 times a day. And I got a message from the pharmacy, said, we haven't even gotten that picked up yet. Nobody's delivered it. I think there will be those kind of innovations that really will start shifting this healthcare cost piece, to the point is you can't exist without it. Healthcare today is $6 trillion of money that's going back and forth between patients, insurance companies, and the providers. It is a huge number in my eyes.
It's so cool. It's funny. I still struggle mentally with this. It's so cool. I'm so excited. I want to learn more. And yet I have this virtual note taking program that I signed up for free. And now it follows me to every meeting and waits for me to go. And even when I cancel the meeting, I get a note that says, hey, I'm waiting to take notes. And I don't even know how to turn this thing off. So I still have an enormous, truly like, and I'm like, I'm just going to apologize for Otter. He shows up. I have zero control when he makes an appearance, and we're just going to learn to embrace and love him and, go from there. So I definitely have a lot to learn. So before we take our break, I do have like a burning question, right? Here we go. I'm going to give you guys $20 million and all the free time in the world. What's the one thing in the AI data space you would want to create if time and money were not an issue?
Well, I can tell you for me,
Wow, that's a great question.
it's to finish up the data lake project, because not that I need $20 million to do it. Time would be an important thing, but to me, it is something. You talk to people like Heidi Havoc, who is one of the top researchers in the field. She believes that this contribution may change the face of the chiropractic profession, more than it has ever done it before. And as I've gotten deep into it, I think I might agree with her. And not only in that profession, but the merger of other specialties doing the exact same thing, we might truly learn a lot more about healthcare that's been kept from us, from the pharmacy benefits managers, the people out there that are more worried about the money than truly how patients are treated. And I think we may have a revolution that changes all of that over this.
Oh, I hope so. Jay, what would you do?
Yeah, I mean, I love that answer, and it's so altruistic, just like, Brad is. I would want an AI built yacht that would sail me around the world to like go to exotic places, because like I just want to have fun. But no, I honestly like I mean, that is kind
No,
of
it's
true,
kind of true, right?
but,
It's kind of true.
He's a
I
little
know
more
you, Jay.
he's a
but,
little
I,
more bougie than
but
I am, though.
it,
yeah, but you guys will be with me, so it'll be super fun. But I will say this, like I love what you said, Brad, because it actually made me think about justice in the healthcare system. And one side of justice in the healthcare system is doing exactly what Brad is doing, which is building this data lake so we can identify how to improve healthcare outcomes over time and demonstrating like what professions are actually delivering the most value. And remember, value is outcomes divided by cost, and we're going to have that data. But I also would love to build something that would identify all of the fraud and all of the injustices in the middleman system. Like if I had $20 million and I could identify all of the bullshit that the insurance companies and the third party administrators were putting providers and most importantly patients through and expose that and expose the politicians that support that, that's what I would do. That would be my project. And I would bring those motherfuckers down. That's what I would do.
well, we do say this is
You
a
can
no
bleep that
filter.
out.
No, we say this is a no
Okay,
filter
good.
podcast, and
And bring those motherfuckers
that
down.
that's
That's
what
what
we
I would
got.
do.
It is no filter, Jay. We keep what you say. Now, I do have to tell you where I lack the education and the skill set the two of you have in this. I love the pill imprint idea, but instead of pills, Brad, I want a cowboy boot machine in my house that on demand, no matter how many sparkles, rhinestones, studs, color, height, walking heel, non-walking heel, I want to be able to imprint cowboy boots. So little
Brad,
selfish
you
on
can make
my
that
part
happen.
too, Jay. Little selfish.
Yeah,
That's
So,
Brad can make that
so
happen.
Cindy, next time you're in Oklahoma,
yes.
one of the trades that's taught at Oklahoma State University is cowboy boot making, and they graduate very few people, but they make custom boots. Now these can be $10,000 and $20,000 pairs of boots, but they do. You see a lot of them at O State meetings and stuff. That they are amazing boots. So if you ever want a custom pair of boots, I'm sure you can come to Oklahoma and we get that done for you.
You know what, Brad? I just gave us $20 million to advance AI. So 10 grand for a pair of boots
What
is
is
nothing.
nothing?
Nothing.
I will write the check. I am absolutely there and in. All right, you guys, we got to take a break because my sponsors are super important to me and we want to hear a couple messages from them. So don't anybody go away. Make sure your virtual assistant is recording the commercials as well. And then we're going to come back for one of my favorite parts of the podcast, some rapid fire questions. So don't move. Hang tight. We'll be right back. This is your weekly dose of Dr. Cindy, the Positively Altered podcast. Stop. Hit that follow button now and spread the love with Positively Altered. And we're back. And I'm so excited because this is usually my favorite part of the show, although the beginning is also good too. And you know what? I hear your dog. Is that Deputy in the background?
Yes, it
All right.
is. Do you want me to let him out?
No, so I want answers from Deputy too. He is welcome to answer the questions, and there might be one or two he
Okay.
likes. Okay, so here we go. And I guess Brad, you're going to go first because now I got two of you, unless you want to shout it out at the same time. But I don't
No,
want you to
Brad will go
influence.
first. I'll go second.
Okay, I don't want you to influence each other. First question:
No.
if you could make snow any color on the planet, what color would you make it?
I like it white. I've heard you ask that a lot of times, but I like white snow, man.
Jay?
Wow.
Purple, and pink snow make no sense to me. I like it white.
You know what's really weird is the first color that came to my brain was pink, and I hate the color pink. However, I would say like blue, like sea blue.
Then how
Yeah.
would you differentiate the snow from like the ocean or the sea? Or it doesn't matter, you just
Because it
fall
would be
in
like
either way.
it would be like a lighter shade of blue. It'd be like you could see the dark, like the darker blue ocean, right? And then you've got this like light sea blue.
So if Jay is ever walking around near where the snow is falling in his swimsuit, you're going to now understand why, because he won't be able to differentiate between his blue colors. Okay, love the answers. Ready? Number 2. Jay, you're going to go first. You have to drink
Okay.
something for the rest of your life. Is it sweet, strong, or sour?
Definitely not sweet. Strong? Are you talking about alcoholic beverage?
I was not specific. I just threw out 3 words.
Okay.
You're thinking way too hard on my questions. This is supposed to be rapid fire. Like, let's go. Give me an
I
answer.
would say sour.
Sour. Brad, sweet, sour, or strong?
Strong.
Okay. Brad, you're going to be in the Olympics and you can be any athlete you want. What sport are you going to excel at in the Olympics?
I'd love to be a runner. I am nowhere. I can't even get near running, but I'd love to be a runner.
Like by yourself or like relay or long distance or sprinting?
I got some friends that are long distance runner that run like huge marathons. I can't even imagine doing that, but I think if you could do that, that would be an amazing task.
Now, are you going to wear the short little runner shorts with the long tube socks that we used to wear back in the?
Yeah, sure.
Is that your look?
No.
Okay. Jay, what sport would you pick?
Simple. 100 meters in the Summer Olympics, and in the Winter Olympics, I'm going downhill.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Yeah. So we got to brush teeth again.
As you're going downhill.
As you're going downhill. All right. Ready? Okay. Now, everybody always asks the question, right, of what famous person would you like to have lunch with if you could pick anybody alive or dead? I actually truly don't care. I want to know what meal you would eat with that person.
Brad, do you want to go first? Or you want me to go?
Go ahead. I'm curious.
I would say I would eat surf and turf after cheese fondue. So I'd eat cheese fondue first. Then I would do surf and turf with a grilled steak and a lobster, steamed lobster from Maine with butter, real butter. And then I'd have chocolate fondue to end the meal.
Wow.
So if anybody's taking you on a date, they're going to sport a couple $100 on that.
At least.
Okay, fair. No, that's good. That's good.
I know he's a great steak guy because when he came to stay at my house, what did we have, Jay?
We had steak.
we
had ribs. No, we had ribs. We had barbecue. We had barbecue.
But I fixed the rosemary, olive oil, lamb chops that were French to make lamb.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
They were great.
Yeah, I've been to quite a few restaurants with both of you, and foodie is the right word here, right? Yeah. Absolutely. All right, Brad, what would you pick? What is your meal with a famous person we don't care anything about?
I'm a steak guy. I like 3-inch porterhouses cooked at 1200 degrees or so. Yeah, I'm a steak guy too.
Now, is there like a side, or it's just a slab of meat?
I can do just the slab of meat, but it's got to be very good quality meat. It's got to be butchered correctly, and it's got to be thick. None of this inch and a half steak stuff. That's like cheap in my eyes. And it's got to be cooked right. You got to like sear it and caramelize it on the top, but be rare on the inside. You know what?
I am with you. There is nothing worse than spending money at a great restaurant and having the steak come out inappropriately ordered, and then they take it back and just recook the same steak. I'm with you. It's got to be done perfectly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Last and final question, but maybe the most important question you will ever be asked in the history of your life. Okay, that's a little over the top and excessive, but important for today. What was your favorite thing about doing the podcast today?
Oh, that's easy. Spending time with you guys. I love you guys. Yeah. And that you know me, and I mean that. Like from the bottom of my heart, that was the best part. I love you guys.
Yeah, I say the same thing. We get to do this fortunately all over America and together, and we get to see each other, maybe not as often as we would like to, but I just love the conversation. I love it at dinner. I love it anywhere that we have it. I love the conversation.
Oh my gosh, you guys are great.
So
all right.
Wait. I will say this. Before we started recording, we were talking a lot about vaginas. That was cool too.
No filter. The Positively Altered podcast. We promise you no filter. All right, you guys, real quick before we close up here, Dr. J, if anybody wants to find out more about you, what you're doing, the products, how do people find you?
Yeah, you could just email me at drjay, Dr. J, at Embodi Health, EMBODI health.com. And you can check out our website at embodihealth.com.
All right. And you're all over social media too, right? Insta
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Facebook. All
yeah.
right.
Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, yeah, all
And we'll
over
make sure all
that kind
those
of stuff.
links are available to all our listeners. Brad, how do we find you?
Listen, I'm all over social media also. Jay and I do a podcast together also, TikTok, and that's every Friday morning. And you can jump on that on social media, Brad.Cost. I have a professional page about my speaking recipes. I also am a foodie cook, writing a cookbook right now. And I'm easy to find, but it's Brad.Cost at infinity.net.
And if you guys can't find them, find me at drsindyspeaks.com because I have their cell phone numbers and we can stalk them if need be. But definitely check me out so that you can be part of the community. If you want to get a hold of my book, I'm available on Amazon, or you can find it also through my website at drsindyspeaks.com. Here's the deal, you guys. My favorite part of the podcast today, and I'm going to piggyback and cheat because you know I adore both of you and I love spending time. But here's what was really cool. I've been a guest on both of your podcasts a couple times, and we got one coming up too. But what's fun for me is I've always joked about pretending to be one of you and being the host, and I finally got to do that. So you're now
Yeah.
my guests, and I'm super excited. And, you know, I had to go through all the trouble of creating my own show just to have you where I wanted to take over yours. But you know what? It was all worth it. So thank you so much, you guys, for being part of the community and the family. I hope that today all of our guests, in one way or another, were positively altered. Everybody have a great rest of your day, your evening, your week, wherever you are. Brad and Jay, love you both. And I'm going to have you back. We're going to do this again. All right, everybody, take care. We'll see you next time.